Can you tell me a little bit about yourself?
I am a community access specialist.
I am a director of independent living services.
I am a doctor. I am looking to go back to school again.
I just retired.
I'm a fashion designer. I own my own business.
I'm an attorney.
I am totally blind, have been totally blind since birth.
I was not born with a disability. I obtained my disability when I was 8 years old in a house fire.
I am a T9 complete spinal cord injury.
I was diagnosed with cerebral palsy when I was born.
Recognizing that I had a disability definitely took some time. When I was first diagnosed with muscular dystrophy and my doctor gave me those results and said, Keisha, you have muscular dystrophy, I was like, who is she talking about?
I was diagnosed with a disability called Friedreich's ataxia at the age of 10. And then it progressed up. So throughout the years, as my disability progressed, I learned there are things that I needed to make more accessible for myself and also for the community.
And let me ask you this question. What do you think the next commander-in-chief and their administration should focus on as it relates to people with disabilities?
Accessing Democracy, produced by the National Disability Rights Network.
So Monica, you want to tell people a little bit about why we did this project?
This project is very important to me because more than 1 in 4 people in this country have a disability, and over 38 million of them are eligible to vote. So you would think that public officials and politicians will truly be fighting for our votes since we are the largest voting bloc. But over 60% of likely voters feel that public officials and politicians don't really care about what we go through in our community, what the disability community thinks or goes through. And I guess I can see why, because people with disabilities earn less than those that are not disabled. People with disabilities are on Social Security and Medicare and have restrictions on how much they can make and earn. And unfortunately, you know, this part is rather unfortunate that people with disabilities are less likely to go to college and don't even obtain a bachelor's degree. So we went to voters in our community to hear what they had to say, to hear what they expect from politicians and public officials, because they're not in our community. They don't hear our experiences, and they don't know what our lives are like on a day-to-day basis. So we went to those voters in our community to hear what they want from politicians and from the next commander-in-chief.
I was really the first person in that school, in that county, with that severe of a disability. So they had no idea what to do. And so when it came time for me to come back to school, because I was in the 3rd grade when it happened, they did not want me to come back to school. They wanted me to go to the school in Spartanburg for the deaf or blind, because they felt it was a better fit for me, because they didn't think they had the tools to serve me in, you know, public education.
I spent years in college, going part-time, which for me, to do homework, it takes me much longer. And at that time, we didn't have technology.
And my mom, she fought hard. Shriners Hospital, I don't know if you've heard of them, but they stepped in and they were like, no, you have to provide her with equal education at the school. And so we ended up winning an argument, and I ended up being able to stay in the school system that I was already in. I mean, I had accommodations in the beginning, but as I got older and started transitioning to high school and stuff, those accommodations started to kind of like taper back, and I wasn't really getting the full benefits of what I should have been. And I didn't know these things. If I knew then what I knew now, I probably would have been in a much better place.
I wanted a regular life with a real job and I wanted marriage.
I mean, but let's take it a step back. So before this project, how did you end up doing disability activism?
Well, I became disabled at the age of 9. It was caused by a drunk driver that killed my entire family. And when I left the hospital from rehabilitation and returned back to school, back into society, and went back to school, while I had expectations and goals of myself that never changed, others around me had a whole set of expectations. And I had a 504 plan, and I had accommodations that were provided for me. And while I was successful with those accommodations and having those accommodations even in college, when I entered the workforce and I had these goals and dreams to be fulfilled, I started applying for jobs, and I was being turned down from every position that I applied for, and I knew I was qualified for those positions, and they were giving them to people that were not disabled and was far less qualified than myself. And I realized it was because of my disability. And sometimes when you are applying for jobs and when you have these goals and dreams that you know that you can accomplish, but the workforce slams the door at you left and right and doesn't give you any opportunities to pursue those goals and dreams, you often ask yourself, well, why even have those goals and dreams? Why should we continue to pursue goals that we want to accomplish? And that is why this project, or let me just say that's one of the reasons why this project is important to me, because public officials and politicians need to know that people with disabilities have goals, they have dreams. Can you speak to me a little bit about employment, the need for better employment for people with disabilities, and also if you have experienced any type of employment barriers as a person with a disability?
I choose to disclose, but the other side of that is I've chosen to disclose. And in a lot of ways, as people with disabilities, we do get hindered by that disclosure, because still, whether we want employers to or not, they now see that disability, and many of them struggle to move on and move past it and really look at the resume that's being put in front of them and the qualifications that are being put in front of them.
I guess I'll talk specifically about me first, but have I experienced barriers? Certainly. And that, I suppose that's another reason I got involved in politics. I knew because of my disability I was gonna face so many challenges, and truthfully I applied to probably 1,000 jobs after I graduated law school, and that shouldn't happen to someone like me, someone who, and if it was anyone else without my disability, without those circumstances, a city councilor with a law degree shouldn't have had a problem getting a job.
So The barriers have been, one, I'm spending so much time dealing with the problems of insurance, getting a chair, getting like the equipment I need to medically stay healthy. So I need a standing frame. That's how you prevent bone loss from not standing. So if I don't have that, I am going to be able to work. It will prevent me from going to work.
So I feel like one thing that kept coming up was inclusion, right?
What stood out to me the most in these interviews is access and accommodations. And time again, folks talk about inclusion. But in order to be included, we need access. And in order to have access, we need accommodations. But when my community, when the disability community asks for accommodations, we're treated differently. We're treated as a problem. How is that important to you in terms of managing your disability and dealing with your disability? What does the ADA and accessibility mean to you?
I have a button on my keys where if I'm coming in from outside, I can hit that button instead of struggling to open the door. So ADA and accessible is very important to me. It's something that still goes on right here in Massachusetts. I have been to restaurants where they utilize the elevator for someone like myself to use for DJ equipment. That's crazy. You know, and you'll be surprised. It's like I go to like the gym or to the mall. It's like they have the handicap parking, but then how do you expect me to get in when there's no handicap button?
I go to a lot of courthouses, and a lot of times people like me, and someone in a wheelchair, can't get down to what's called the well. It's where the other attorneys sit, and it's where the judge sits. The clients are usually up above. It's more like an audience stadium, and it's difficult for me to get down to the well to actually advocate for a client.
You have, you know, people in government, whether it's the president or the governor or the mayor, whoever it is, giving speeches that impact us, our safety, what we need to know to be okay. Not having ASL puts a barrier up for us. We can't keep up. We don't know what's going on. We have to go to someone else to get the information because we're not getting it from the main source because there's no accessibility. We've had to fight for that in South Carolina. Anytime there's a natural disaster or anything, we're like emailing the government, like, please make sure you have an ASL interpreter right beside you when you're giving your speeches. And this is not something we should have to fight for. They've been told this consistently. You should know this by now.
Without accessible housing, I'm going to spend a lot more time just living. There's just a tax, like I like to call it the disability tax. So it takes me how long to get downstairs. And it adds extra steps to my day. So what would have taken me maybe a minute in an accessible house may take me 20. And it's not because I am incapable or I'm not strong. Like, you should see how far I can ride road biking and everything. I am phenomenal shape.
At the end of the day, I'm still a blind person who has to deal with these inaccessible websites, these inaccessible platforms. You know, I log on to my bank. I make doctor's appointments. I have to do all the things. Just today, I went to make a hair appointment and had to use 3 different browsers to make the website reasonably accessible.
And I need the help. I need the help every day. I am someone, I can't just get up and say, hey, like I used to as an able-bodied person, and get up and take my meds, go shopping, go do this. No, I have to rely on my aides to come every day, and that sucks. If they don't show up, I can't show up. I have a business to run. I have doctor's appointments to do, and I have TV shows to watch. So that's very important because that's what keeps me sane.
But when there's a barrier that makes it so that, like, I have to pull myself up the stairs instead of have something that can lift me up it, like that kind of thing, that takes up time, that takes up mental energy. And you only have so much energy in a day. It's not like able-bodied people are out there, you know, every time they walk up a stair, they're not doing 50 push-ups. Like, it's it's not unreasonable to ask to have a similar level of lifestyle.
And at the end of the day, you've got websites that are just completely not accessible altogether, because why would blind people shop at our store? Why would a person who is deaf watch my video? People don't know what they don't know, and it's again back to those low expectations.
So when we talk about barriers, we can't ignore the big one, voting, right?
Unfortunately, my first time voting was not the best experience. When I went to go vote and I pulled up to the voting location, the line was extremely long, but I was determined to go vote, so I went and stood in line. And as I was standing in line, my body was starting to experience quite a bit of pain, almost to the point where it was getting ready to collapse. And so I signaled the election official and I said, "Hi, is there any possible way that I can get in front of the line to go vote, or are there any accommodations for me as a voter with a disability?" And the elected official said no. That was very hurtful, but I was determined to vote. I stayed persistent, and so I made sure that I did what I had to do to go and vote. And that's exactly what I did. I maintained perseverance and was persistent and voted. I want to shift a little bit to voting. Can you share with me about your experience first time voting? How did you feel when you first voted?
So actually, when I first voted, I was in the newspaper. I was able-bodied, believe it or not, in my hometown. And I truly believe voting should represent the people that the government is serving. So I think voting to me is hugely important. I will move heaven and earth to get to the polling place regardless of what a day it is. I mean, today I spent the night in the emergency room. I think I got 2 hours of sleep, but I'm going to vote because I think that is the only way your voice is heard. I think we're a population that is often disregarded.
Monica, I will be honest with you that the 2020 election was actually the first time I voted.
Wow, voting for me the first time, it feels like so long ago. I feel so old. I'm like 38 now. So of course it felt exciting because I'm like, oh, my voice, my opinion matters. I'm voting. So I was totally excited from what I could remember because I'm like, finally.
I buried my head in the sand and didn't follow politics and didn't engage because my thought process was, no candidate has directly acknowledged me as a person with disability, so what difference is this going to make and why should I care? But at the end of the day, your vote does make a difference.
They agreed that I could vote in the car. But they needed to watch the vote.
The vote is on top.
It's on top of the handles of my wheelchair. I cannot hold a pen. I need to verbally tell someone who I wanted to vote for.
I would tell my age. I'm just kidding. I've been voting since I was 18, so it's been a while. I vote every year. I was at college when I first voted. And I was all proud and excited. I get to vote for the first time, waiting in line.
And let me ask you this question. What do you think the next commander-in-chief and their administration should focus on as it relates to people with disabilities?
You know, if you want a commander-in-chief or someone to show that they're disability friendly, put someone with a disability in your cabinet. Put them in a high position. Appoint them to judgeships. Appoint them, you know, to department heads. Appoint them to bigger spots in the government. That's how you're gonna promote change.
Whoever the individual is, the president needs to realize we are educated human beings. We might talk funny. Our bodies might fly all over. But we have a lot to say. And a lot to contribute.
I also want to see more accessibility in the healthcare space, and I'll use a personal example. I am also a person who is pre-diabetic and needs to monitor her blood sugar on a regular basis. And there are very limited ways that I can do that as a person who's blind. And so keeping in mind that medical devices also need to be accessible. There's some legislation right now, the Medical Device Non-Visual Accessibility Act, that we've seen introduced in both houses that I really want to see carry forward. And then just things like keeping in mind that medical devices are expensive. And so I don't want to pay $75 for the ability to test my blood sugar when a sighted person can do that a bit cheaper. I want the fact that I need accessible technology, accessible medical devices to be kept in mind. And I am one of many people who has these concerns about, you know, tons of healthcare needs.
I would say the next commander-in-chief needs to focus on so much things in the disability community. With the PCA shortage, the PCAs need to get paid more. And stop it with the whole just people that are on disability where they can't work and they have to only make a certain amount each month. That is crazy. It's like we didn't ask to be this way. You know, I would like to get up and do what I used to do fashion, merchandising, travel to stores, but I can't do that. Due to this muscular dystrophy, I don't have control over that. I wake up every morning and this muscular dystrophy tells me what it wants to do. So you need to stop with the SDA and the SGA amount that we can only make this amount. It sucks. Like, stop it.
Well, I think one of the things that's so hard is you can't rely on what your body can do. There is no roadmap for, in 5 years, my body won't be able to manage this task. So student loans, it's very problematic to take out new ones. So I think focusing on helping people get whatever education they need without having to take on the burden of new loans. Like, I think there are a lot of people that really would like to get advanced degrees and really get that education and better serve the community. I think having more people out there working, doing what they love, supporting their families, I think that's a goal we should be working towards. I don't think we should be making it harder for people to get out there, be employed, you know, pay their taxes, support their families. I don't think that's unreasonable.
We should be at the table. We should be a part of policy making and decisions and just overall life in America, because we're here. We're everywhere. You know, you can't make decisions without your people. And we are your people, so include us. If you don't know the answer, again, I said, we will help you. We will teach you, we will educate you, we will give you ideas, but you have to include us. You have to. You're not just serving non-disabled people. You're serving all of us, and that includes our community of people with disabilities. You can go to bed today and wake up tomorrow with a disability. Nothing is guaranteed. Before we leave this earth, everybody at least has some medical condition or disability. So we're everywhere. Include us. Give us a seat at the table. Hear us. We know how to do things. We're educated. We're smart. Just give us a chance. Hear our voice.
So Monica, what do you want to see from the next Commander-in-Chief?
When I think about myself as a voter that is disabled, other voters with disabilities, and the disability community, the one adjective that stands out to me is perseverance. We persevere. When there are voting barriers in our place, we persevere. When we don't have policies that's for the betterment of us to be able to, again, be successful, to thrive, to live in the community, to be a mom, to be a dad, to be a doctor or a nurse or a teacher, whatever it is that we aspire to be, but the policies aren't in place for us because it wasn't designed for us, we still show up, show out, and we persevere. So my question to politicians is this: when are you going to show up for us?
Produced by the National Disability Rights Network. Created in partnership with Disability Rights New York. Director, Jack Rosen. Starring Monica Wiley. Featuring Carolyn Adams, Nicholas Carbone, LaQuanda Clark, Keisha Graves, Sarah Massengale, and Jim Healy. Cinematographer, Grace Combs. Editor, Jack Rosen. Sound mixer, Jack Rosen. All or Nothing and My Game, licensed from Universal Production Music. Special thanks to Able, South Carolina, James De La Sala, and Deborah Oliveros. Audio description by Patrick Henneberry. Copyright 2024, National Disability Rights Network.